trim up the beard or the mustache.
Yeah.
Because, like, it always, like, gets the hairs on the side here, like, near the mustache, like, will get in my mouth.
Yeah. Yeah. That happens to me.
And I can't fucking stand it.
Yeah, it's one of the most irritating things ever. And, like, mine, like mine right here, like, right on the very sides, the very ends, will get so long.
Oh, yeah.
They'll get, like, 7 inches long. And, like, if it gets too bad, like, they get in my mouth while I'm eating.
Yeah.
And, like, I've bitten down on my mustache hairs before, and it, like, pulls my lip. I'm just like, this is just not enjoyable. And, like, the hair right here under my bottom lip, like, this hair comes out and then curls back towards my face.
Really, mine just goes, like, it just, like, sticks straight out.
Yeah. Yeah, mine, like, does like a dead spider and, like, all the legs turn in on itself. So it's just like I have, like, this, yeah, it's like I have a big spider sitting on my face if it gets too much.
Yeah, I can't stand that. It's like the hair, like, on the side, like, near, like, where, like, my bottom and top lip meet, like, right here.
Yeah.
Like, that's the parts that always get, like, super long.
Yeah.
And for some reason, the hair grows, like, super close to my lips.
Yeah, like, way too close.
Yeah. I'm not sure exactly what's up with that, because there's, like, at least, like, the hair that, like, grows across the top of my lip, like, there's some clearance there.
Yeah.
Like, there's some skin in between the lip and like, where the mustache starts.
It's like it might as well be growing out of your lip.
Yeah.
Imagine if you grew hair on your lips.
Ugh.
Like, all the way, like, down here, and you had to shave your lips.
You know, I remember, I think it was, like, in maybe, like, 10th grade or something like that. It might have been before that. They did, like, dangers of, like, tobacco use or whatever. And, like, they showed all these pictures and everything.
Like Dare or whatever.
Might have been Dare. I can't remember. But I specifically remember, like, they had one where, like, this dude smoked cigarettes for, like, 15 years, and then he has, like, hair all over his tongue. I was like,
What the fuck kind of cigarettes was he smoking?
like, I've never seen that before.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't think... I
was like, I don't think that's how this works.
Yeah, I've known people who smoked for, you know, their whole lives.
Their whole lives.
And I mean that from, like, childhood to adulthood. And they didn't have hairy tongue. Now, I've had situations before, like back when I did smoke cigarettes, like if I went to a party or, you know, like a bonfire or something, where you're just kind of sitting around outside and you smoke several cigarettes.
Yeah, like chain smoking cigarettes.
Yeah, just chain smoking cigarettes. And, like, after a while, you kind of get to a point where you're just like, I feel really gross. Like, I feel smoky. Like, what's that movie? It's the one where there's like a evil grime guy. It's an animated movie, and it's about, like, these forest creatures, and, like, the bad guys are like the
Fern Gully.
Fern Gully, yeah. I feel like that goo guy, that goo man.
Yeah.
He's singing about sludge.
Yeah, I, like, remember you'd go to, like, a party or something like that, and of course everybody's smoking.
Yeah.
So I just remember, like, you'd be sitting there with a beer or, like, whatever your drink of choice is, and just be, like, smoking, like, cigarettes, like, all fucking night.
Yeah.
And you always had to make sure that you had, like, at least 2 packs of cigarettes.
Yeah.
If you had 1 pack of cigarettes, it wasn't going to be enough.
You're going to run through it.
You're going to run through it, and they're going to be bumming cigarettes off everybody else.
And everybody else smokes different cigarettes.
Exactly.
And everybody else, other cigarettes are nasty.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, because you end up, like, towards the end of the night, the only person that's got any left is the dude that smokes Marlboro Lights.
Yeah.
It's like, and you don't want to be caught up with that guy.
Yeah.
So, I, like, specifically remember, like, one time we were at a party with a bunch of people, and I remember, like, just smoking, like, all night long. Like, for some reason, I, like, ran through, like, 2 packs of cigarettes.
Yeah.
That's, like, chain smoking all night long. And I, like, woke up the next... I have never felt so bad in my life.
Yeah.
I felt so shitty.
Yeah, I think the worst for me was... I mean, I more or less went on a bender. Like, like, I honestly didn't start drinking alcohol until I was, like, 22. Like, I think I was 22 years old when I had my first, like, actual drink of alcohol.
Yeah.
And And even then, like, I still don't drink beer because, like, the taste of beer is gross to me. It all tastes like Robitussin, and it all tastes exactly the same to me.
Yeah.
Like, I can't differentiate. I don't have the palate, whatever it takes to enjoy beer. But at the time, I really liked Jack and Coke. And me and one of my coworkers at the restaurant, we came up to the restaurant to have margaritas.
Yeah.
And we were like, we'll just have one pitcher of margaritas, just hang out a little bit, and we'll go our separate ways. And I think we ended up having, like, we were overserved. I think we had 3 pitchers of margaritas, and then we moved to the bar, and I drank, like, 5 Jack and Cokes.
Yeah.
So already I've mixed tequila and whiskey.
Yeah. Oh.
And then 2 of our other coworkers were like, hey, we're going to a party tonight. Y'all are already kind of buzzed. Why don't you come with us?
You're already sloshed. Why don't you?
Yeah. And so, we went to, I don't even know where. I remember going down I-20, and we stopped at the racetrack in Douglasville.
No.
And I went inside, and, like, I was very swimmy, you know?
Yeah.
And I was like, I really want a beef and cheese stick. Like, that just sounds like the best thing ever. So I walked over and I grabbed one and I ate it at the rack.
Oh, no.
And I took the wrapper up to the counter and paid for it. But before we even got to the party, we stopped at some bar. Again, I don't know where.
Yeah.
I have no idea where I'm at. And I remember I kept ordering Jack and Cokes, but I would order it, drink it, pay for it, and then I would have kept opening and closing tabs over and over.
I like this fucking guy.
Yeah. I think I did that like 20 times. And I think once we got to the actual party where the party was taking place, I passed out. So, like, as soon as the party started, I was done. And I remember, like, waking up the next morning, and I didn't know where I was.
Yeah.
Like, I don't recognize this room. Like, I'm fully clothed. I still got my shoes on. And, like...
Oh, that's the worst.
Yeah, I'm, like, all sweaty, you know? And
your body's been, like, sweating out all that alcohol. Yeah.
And just, like, my head felt awful. And I was still kind of drunk.
Yeah.
And I was like, I gotta do something. And so I just kind of walked out of the room. I was, like, looking around, like, I don't know this house. I was like, oh, there's a bathroom right there.
Yeah.
I went into the bathroom, and I was like, I gotta puke.
Oh, yeah.
And so I puked. And it was nothing but, like, rice from the Mexican restaurant. And then I was like, I need to take a shower. Yeah. So I took a shower in this house that I've never even, like, I've never been to. I don't know these people. And so then I ended up finding my friend, my coworker that this whole thing started with. And I was like, okay, at least he's here. Yeah. Like, I know someone. I'm not in, like, a sex dungeon, human trafficking thing.
You're not in Ray's trailer.
Yeah. And I checked my bank account.
Oh, that's
not good.
The worst.
I spent $250 in one night that I did not have to spend.
You're like, fuck, I want to pick up some extra shifts.
Yeah. So I've never done that since. If I drink, I make sure I've got somebody responsible near me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think the worst, and I can't remember if I've ever told this story on the podcast before. I think the worst, like, morning after drinking was when I was in the military. And we had stopped in, it was a port over near the UAE, like near the
is that the
near
United
Dubai.
Arab Emirates?
Yeah. It wasn't in Dubai, it was in Jebel Ali, which is pretty close. But we pulled in there, and there was, like, where the port was like gated off for the military, right? So there's like this, it's like a gate, and there's like an area and then another gate. And in the area in between, they had, like, all these, like, little shops and everything. They had, like, a bunch of, like, American food.
Yeah.
And
just like hot dogs and, like,
well, they had like a
cereal.
They had like a KFC and a Burger King.
Yeah.
But it wasn't like the stuff that they serve over here.
Yeah.
It was like a weird, like, Middle Eastern version of it.
They sell, like, kebabs.
Yeah. Like, they were selling, like, shawarmas, like, at the Burger King.
Yeah.
I was like, what the fuck? But it was actually coming off the boat and, like, eating that food. You're like, oh my God, this is the best fucking food I've ever had in my life.
Yeah.
And so, but also there, like, at night, they had the CPO mess or the Chiefs mess. Like, they would sell beer.
Yeah.
Like, they didn't sell, like, hard liquor. They sold, like, beer and, like, ciders and stuff, right?
Is that on the boat?
No, it was in that little area in between, the two gates, right? And so like everybody would get shit-faced.
Yeah.
And just smoke cigarettes and get shit-faced.
Yeah.
And I remember... Just consume, right? And so we were out there till like 1 o'clock in the morning. Like we got out there at like 8 and just drank till 1. Yeah. And like all I was drinking was just hard ciders. And I wasn't like drinking any type of water or anything. And like all that sugar. Yeah. Oh man, it was bad.
And alcohol turns into sugar in your body.
It was bad. Yeah. So my dumb ass forgot that I had duty the next day. Not only did I have duty, but I had ECP watch, which means that I'm standing guard at that first gate.
Yeah.
Out in the sun.
Oh.
Yeah. Like in the middle of summer.
And over in the Middle East.
In the Middle East. So I like get off I woke up. I don't know how I did it. Like I woke up, got dressed, went down and got armed up and everything. And then like went down to the gate and was like checking like IDs and stuff like as people were coming through.
How much gear are you standing there with?
So you got a baton, you got zip tie cuffs. I don't think that we had OC spray because that's considered like chemical warfare over there.
Yeah.
So we had a baton, the 9mm. I think maybe I had an M16. I can't remember.
Did you have like body? Armor?
Yeah, you wore like the vest and everything. And the ship that I was on was an older ship, so we didn't get like the Kevlar plates.
Yeah.
We had like steel plates.
Oh my god.
So you had like a front steel plate and a back steel plate, and the vest was so old that like it was kind of coming apart, so it just kind of like hung there. Like it wasn't like tight on your body. It didn't support itself, so it's just like dragging you down all day long.
So you had like what, 50, 60 pounds?
And it wasn't that much. It was maybe like 35, maybe 40 at most.
But that's still extra weight.
It's still extra weight, and being hung over, and like there's really no water out there.
Oh my god.
And so, but like that really wasn't the worst part. The worst part was that, so the contractors from over there, like the Middle Eastern guys that would come over and do the contract, and they would like redo the lagging and everything on the ship.
Yeah.
Like they weren't allowed to go to the bathroom on the ship.
Yeah.
But they were allowed to go to the bathroom in the porta potty that was right next to where I was standing.
Oh no.
And so I'm just drunk. I'm getting the spins, and I'm drunk.
Uh-oh.
And I'm trying to check these people's. I'm trying to check these people's IDs, and there's just this line of Middle Eastern dudes shitting into this porta potty.
You know they all ate like curry, curry goat. And...
It was,
oh god!
It was the worst smell. That was like the worst 5 hours of my life.
Just sitting there stewing
just
in the
sitting
sun.
there stewing in the sun.
Oh god!
Like there was a couple of times, like I was heaving, like, I felt like, you know, you see like a dog, like when a dog gets ready to put into puke, it's like, yeah, that's how I felt.
Oh, that's so awful. I mean, if you had to puke, right? If it was coming, would you have gone to that porta potty?
I would puke behind the porta potty. I'm not going in there. I'm not going in there.
Get some backsplash.
No. Ugh. That was like the most rancid, acidic smell.
Like it was burning a hole in the bottom of that plastic.
Yeah. Yeah. It's so bad.
It's, you know, I spent a lot of time on construction sites at my previous job, and typically, you know, because of my job, I was able to kind of leave and go wherever I felt I needed to go, because I had several different sites I needed to go visit. And so usually if I had to go to the bathroom, I'd just get in my truck and go somewhere that had a nice bathroom.
No.
But some of these jobs were very large, and if I was like in the middle of the job site and it hit me like, oh, I've got to go, like there's a porta potty right there, I'm just gonna have to suck it up and go to the porta potty. I mean, and these things are, you know, 250 degrees on the inside, and construction workers have been shitting in them all day long, and homeless people have been fucking in them during the night.
Ugh.
The worst one ever. And it
really set the mood with that turd floating around.
That blue water. The worst one, and surprisingly, this was on Piedmont Road and it was like on the sidewalk next in between like a Chase Bank and a Chick-fil-A. It was actually like in like an affluent area, right? And I wasn't gonna have time to make it to my truck and go somewhere.
No.
And I was like, I'm just gonna have to go to this porta potty. And I was like, I kind of half expected it to be well taken care of just because of the area it was in.
No.
When I opened the door, it hit me like a fucking ton of bricks. Like the smell and the sight, because it looked like someone had opened up the door, turned around and bent over like on the sidewalk and shit into the porta potty. It was all over the seat and on the floor and up the wall. And so I just walked into the Chase Bank in my like dirty jeans and my high-vis vest and everything. That was very clearly I'm with the construction crew. And I just walked in. I didn't say anything to anybody. I went straight into the bathroom.
Yeah.
And they had a sign up saying, no public restrooms.
Yeah.
I was like, you got one today, buddy. I went in there and he said that.
It's like, you have two options. Either I'm shitting on the floor, I'm shitting in the toilet.
It's like, I'll shit myself right here in the lobby and go home.
I was reading the other day that I guess it's like over in China, like I guess the people from like the rural communities, like the ones that don't live in the cities and everything, like if they come to the cities, like they'll just like drop trowel
right in the street
in the middle of these like malls and shit and just shit.
Yeah.
And so like there's all these signs that are like, you can't shit on the floor.
Oh man!
Like, could you just like imagine like going to like Arbor Place Mall and like all this? There's like this dude and his wife's walking around. And
he
all
just
of a sudden,
sets his bags
he
down.
just sits his bags down and just like takes his shit in the middle of the mall.
Takes a big soupy shit right on the floor. Totally normal, no shame whatsoever. I know that a lot of places, they don't do. They have plumbing systems as far as like it can flush away. The excrement and everything, but it's either not strong enough or it's not built to flush away like toilet paper and things like that. So a lot of places you wipe your ass and then you put it in a trash can next to the toilet. And so if you ever go to like an international airport, a lot of times you'll see signs in the bathroom stalls that'll say, in this country you can flush your toilet paper. Please don't put your shit rags just on the floor next to the toilet.
No.
It's like we tried to kind of guide you that direction because there's no trash can in here.
No.
And people are just like,
imagine people just stand there with like,
what'd I do with this?
a handful of shit.
Just like stick it to the wall.
I remember we went to, I think we were in Bahrain when I was in the military. And we like went into, like they had like a mall over there. So we went to the mall. Like it's a nice mall. Like it's massive. It's got like Versace and like Gucci and like all these stores inside of it. Like there's a lot of money over there.
Yeah. There's a lot of old money over there in the Middle East. Yeah.
And then so like we walk in and I was like, I gotta go to the bathroom. So I'd go to the bathroom. And in the bathroom, like they have toilet paper, but also too, they have like a kitchen sink spray thing attached to the toilet.
Yeah.
So you can spray your ass.
Yeah.
I was
so
like,
it's kind of like a bidet, like on a
like
stick.
a bidet, right?
On a stick,
yeah, but it's like I'm not fucking touching that.
Yeah,
like
everybody's been touching this.
Yeah, everybody's been touching it. It's like there's probably like some savage that just like sprayed it straight up, and there's just like poopy water,
just falling down onto it, running down the handle. Ugh, that's so nasty.
It's like I'm not using a public bidet. It's not gonna happen.
Yeah, no, I don't think so. Well, it's like, was it like in Rome? They had those public bathhouses way back, like during the Roman Empire, and it's actually kind of interesting when you look at like all the public utility that ancient Rome had.
No,
like they were the first ones to ever have plumbing of any kind, like those aqueducts and everything. Mm-hmm. They understood that if water starts at a high place, it'll find its way to a low place. So if we have water start way up here and then down here, there's running water constantly, and we can shit into it and it'll go away.
Where it goes to, we don't care.
We don't care. That's for whoever's on the end of the shit trough to worry about. But in those public bathhouses, they had like a communal sponge on a stick. So it was like, as advanced as they were all sharing a shit stick.
Yeah.
To wipe their butts with. So you'd wipe your ass with the shit stick, and then you'd dip it in like a mop, in like a bucket, and you'd hand it to the next guy.
I would just like imagine I'd be like, oops, and like
drop it. That probably happened a couple
Looks
times.
like I'm gonna need a new one.
Yeah. It's got like plastic wrap around it. You're like, I got the new stick.
Yeah, I've seen pictures of those too, and there's no dividers. It's like you're just like sitting across from somebody.
Yeah, and they were big rooms, right?
Yeah.
So it was kind
There's
of
like 64 toilets in there.
So you imagine like if it was just you and one other guy.
Yeah.
And he's just sitting there.
What if it was just you and like you're sitting like in the corner one, it's like taking a shit, and like there's all these extra like toilets everywhere.
Everywhere's free.
And this dude just comes up and sits next to you.
Oh man. What are you doing? It's like walking up and standing right next to another guy at a urinal. You don't do that. You fucking barbarian. I don't know, man. They just, I guess there wasn't as much stigma around. I guess back then they were like, well, everybody shits. I mean, what's the big deal?
I think a lot of it is like we've just been so desensitized to everything, especially too taking into consideration how often did people like deal with death back then? Like all the time.
Yeah, it's like we said before. I mean, there'd just be dead. You just see dead people all day.
There's a dead person in the street.
Yeah, I saw 10 of them on my way to work. I saw one happen on the way here. So I guess if you saw, 10 people on the way to the shit house, pooping next to a stranger wouldn't be the craziest thing that happened that day.
I think wasn't it too? It wasn't Rome. It might have been like, was it England or whatever, where they would just like take the shit out of the chamber pot and just dump it
out the window,
out the window into like the
street,
the poo trough or whatever it was.
No, so it would just go down to the street.
Ugh.
They did that in colonial America too,
Ugh.
because I mean that was saved over from when they moved here from England.
Yeah.
So I mean,
I feel like I'd just be like, look, we can find a better way of doing this.
Yeah. Like I'm eventually gonna have to go out there where I've been throwing my excrement. So like you see like people wearing like their nice fancy suits walking up and down poo streets. I guess everybody just accepted that the bottom of their pants would have poo and urine on them.
See, like some dude wearing a wig and like buckle shoes or whatever.
Yeah, with those white socks all the way up to his
like
knees.
Got poo all over the bottom of his socks.
Smatterings. They, in like the castles or whatever, their solution to that was, the bathroom.
They probably just had a peasant eat it.
They had like a really high like tower, and that was the bathroom tower.
Yeah.
And you'd go up to the top of it, and you would poop, and it would just fall all the way down to the floor at the bottom level, whatever that is.
It's like,
and then there was
just a room with shit all in it.
That's the poo room. At the bottom of the castle, and then it would let out to the outside of the castle, right? So if you say you walk up to the outside of the castle and there's like this this opening, you could walk in and then look straight up to the bottom of the toilet.
Yeah.
So eventually all that would pile there. So some peasant would have to go and rake it out and
Ugh.
I guess go burn it or something.
Ugh.
It's just like there hasn't been a good solution to poop.
Until like recent
Until
times.
like very recently.
Yeah, and even then, it's still not like a great solution.
No, it's really not, because if you have a septic tank, you're still hanging on to all your poop.
Yeah.
It's just out in the yard somewhere.
Yeah. Well, even still, it's like all the water that you drink that comes like from city water, like that's just recycled poo and shit water, like poo and pee water. Like,
Yeah. Oh my God. I mean, what do you do with it all?
I don't know.
Because that's like one of the laws, right? Is matter can't be created or destroyed.
Yeah.
It only changed, right? Well, poop is like the last stop on that journey. It's poop now. It can't be anything else.
I mean,
I guess they burn it. Anyway, it goes into the atmosphere, mixes with the clouds.
Oh, great.
It rains down on everybody.
Ugh.
There's
like,
just poop
smells
everywhere.
like shit outside.
Well, it's like when I talked about the aerated water, like at those waste treatment facilities. That's, those aerated water tanks. That's what that is. It's it's shit water.
Yeah, it's like frothy brown water.
Yeah, and they bubble it up, and they're not boiling it.
Yeah, they just pump air into it.
They pump air into it, and then somehow that helps. I guess all the water rises to the top, and like the solid matter stays at the bottom. Ugh. But they have like bacteria and enzymes in there that, I don't know, eat it, and then they poop CO2. I don't know. But that's poop.
Yeah, everything's poop.
Everything's pooping. You might write a children's book called "Everything Is Poop." Every single thing.
Well,
it's like, fucking poo.
Like, well, what do you put on your crops to make them grow? Poop.
Poop. Yeah, and food comes out of that. Yeah, you eat that, and that turns into poop.
Yeah, and that turns into everything turns into poop.
Yeah, it's not the crab cycle. Everything doesn't turn into a crab. Everything turns into
the
poop
cycle.
It's like that's, entropy is not the heat death of the universe. It's just the entire universe turns into one big turd.
It's like there's like this massive fart and everything turns into shit.
Oh. Out with the bang. Well, let's bring in the podcast. Now, we talked about poop for 30 minutes. Hello, everybody, and welcome to the 35th? Yeah.
Yep, 35th.
35th episode of the Thicc Bois podcast. Our Super Cringe Thursday for this week.
Oh, it was so bad.
And we say that about all of them, because all of them are pretty bad.
No.
But this one is genuinely...
Particularly.
It's genuinely hard to watch. I watched it the first time.
Yeah.
And then, like, the second time, just, like, knowing what's coming, it's like, I can't see them do this again.
I felt so bad for those kids.
I mean, yeah, that's
obviously it was the mother's idea.
Oh, yeah. Absolutely. So, for anybody who didn't see it, it's I'm assuming a TikTok. It's a mother, and she's got 3 kids, 3 young girls, probably ages 8 to like maybe 14.
Yeah.
And she's lip syncing some song. I don't know who it's by, but it's like it's one of those like Katy Perry type songs where they sing about how strong and independent they are, and like, I'm a lion, blah, 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 whatever. Well, this one, they're like wolves, right? That's the thing.
Yeah.
Like, we're wolves. We own the night, blah, blah, blah.
Something about she's the alpha or whatever.
Yeah. It's just one of those, like, empowering songs. But it's just cringy. So already the song's cringy.
Ugh.
And they decided to take it a step further with this video. It's not cringy enough. This is to go even further beyond. So so like the 3 young girls, they're all like on their hands and knees, and so she's like on her hands and knees in front of the girls, and she's lip syncing the lyrics of the song, and eventually she scuttles around to the other side of the girls, and they all like pantomime howling like wolves.
Yeah.
And then they pantomime running like wolves.
Yeah.
So they're like bobbing up and down and like slapping their palms on the floor in front of them, and I just couldn't imagine, like, if I was, like, delivering an Amazon package, because they're doing this, like, right next to the front door or the back door where the kitchen is, and just, like, walking up and, like, looking into the house and seeing that. Because the song is laid over.
They're not hearing the song.
They're not hearing the song, so think about it's dead quiet.
Yeah.
In the house. So all you hear is them, they probably awooed, and then like them slapping the ground with their hands, just that soft like pitter patter of hands on the linoleum floor. Why did you do that to your kids? Why did you make them be a part of that?
You've drugged them into this.
That's always the worst, right? When they drag their kids into this shit.
Yeah.
It's like we talked about that one where that woman was lip syncing that song about how she's worried that she's not good enough, and then she has her kids come in from either side of the frame. Yeah. That one's pretty bad too. But I mean, All three of those kids are like redheads and they wear glasses. So I know that they're already having a hard time at school.
Yeah. The life is not easy for them.
When then you add this on top of it.
Yeah.
I don't hold it against the children at all, but it's definitely her fault.
You know, is it that those kids are going to have a worse time now, or is it just everybody does cringy shit now? Because it seems like it's just like there's so much of it out there.
Oh, that's like the status quo.
That's like the status quo, right?
Just to be cringy.
Yeah.
So you think there's like maybe? Do you think maybe that video
maybe
made it
like
outside of its intended group?
Yeah.
Like the people who appreciated it.
Yeah.
Yeah. That may be the case.
Because there's just so much of it.
Yeah.
There's so much like cringy TikTok stuff. Like I don't.
There's a lot. Every day I see cringy shit. And I'm like, what are you people doing? Why are you doing this? Who is this for?
It's absurd. It's obscene.
I mean,
there's no reason for this.
It's a lot of the cringy ones are usually these people who are, kind of posturing as like, independent and strong and, just like they need reassurance or whatever.
Yeah. And then they go and like cry and sit on the couch and eat a whole tub of ice cream.
Yeah. So the cringiest part about it is the fact that it was an adult that sparked this whole thing off and had her children participate in it.
Yes.
I couldn't imagine our mom coming up to us and like telling her idea.
Fuck no. Fuck no.
I would be like, no, Mom, here's what we're going to do is we're going to sit down as a family. We're going to talk about why you had that idea. Because something's going on here. We need to get you into a facility.
What if they had like, instead of like mental health facilities, they had like cringe facilities? Just like help people stop posting TikTok videos.
Yeah. Like hold a seminar.
It's like somebody gets up there, like, I used to be like you.
Yeah. It's like, hi, my name is Luke. I'm a cringe poster. Hi, Luke. And then you have people like me and you who just like can't stop watching, can't look away.
Right.
It's like the world's on fire.
Yeah, right. It's like a car crash. Like you can't stop looking at it.
I mean, at least, I'm not.
It's sort of like, like when you get mad at people for like when they're like doing like this, like looking at a car crash, and then like you're like quit fucking looking at it, and then you get up there and you do the same thing.
Go so I can look at it. I don't know, man. I just like, yeah, maybe you're right. I think everybody's doing it. So like anybody like at those kids' school that saw it, probably like,
I'm sure they could pull up some of their cringy shit that they've done.
Yeah, right? Everybody's doing cringy shit.
Thank God that social media came in on the back end of when I was in high school.
Yeah, when I was doing cringy things.
MySpace isn't around anymore, so thank God nobody can see any of that.
I mean, yeah. I mean, I'm not 100%, innocent of doing cringy things. I've done cringy things for sure, but none of it is written in stone. As far as I know. I mean, I don't know, man. I just don't like it when they make their kids do this kind of stuff.
Listen, I'm under no illusions that had this been a thing when we were in high school, that there would have been so much cringe that got posted.
Yeah. It'd be like early 2000s cringe.
Yeah, and the reason why I say that is because like emo was really big back then.
Yeah.
So that would have been fucking massive.
Oh, yeah.
You want to talk about some cringe?
Like lip syncing to like Green Day and My Chemical Romance.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, emo, now that I think about it, it was kind of cringy then.
Yeah. Because you'd have had like the kids that had like it was like short
the big hair.
The short on the side and then like long in the front that like covered half their face, right? Mm-hmm. And then they like wore the makeup and everything. And then they'd have been like lip syncing like "Hey there, Delilah" or something like that.
No, I don't think that's not contemporary enough.
Oh, yeah.
It needs to be something like Owl City.
Was Owl City around like 2006, 2007? I think that was like 2010s, right?
Yeah, it's probably about 2010s.
Yeah. So we'd have to go a little bit further back. It'd have to be something like
Him.
Yeah, him. Oh God, I forgot about that.
Yeah. Wings of a butterfly.
I don't think I've ever listened to any of Him's songs. I don't think I've ever heard a song.
I think the only reason I know about that guy is because I think Bam Margera was a big fan of him. And, like, we all watched Viva La Bam when we got home.
Yeah.
Like, as soon as you got home from school, Viva La Bam was on. And Viva La Bam, it was kind of cringy.
Oh, yeah.
Just, like, the way he's acting.
Yeah.
Like, even back then, like, when I was the target audience,
Yeah.
I was still kind of like, you're being a dick.
The only reason I watched it was for Don Vito.
Although I must say, I have Viva La Bam to thank for getting me into Gwar.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, because they did like a Metal Militia episode.
Yeah.
And they had Gwar come and like play a show at his house. So, I mean, if it wasn't for that, I wouldn't know about Gwar.
And I've said this before. I don't know if I've ever said it on the podcast. I know for a fact I've said it to you. But the band CKY, was it their big song that they had?
96 Quiet Bitter Beings.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So the first 15 seconds of that song
is
are
the
like
dirtiest, most stank face.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, and then the dude opens his fucking mouth. I'm, you fucking ruined it. Like, I have that song in one of my playlists. I'll listen to the first 15 seconds and I turn it off.
Yeah. It's a sick riff at the beginning.
Yeah.
It really is.
Could you
really
imagine
cool.
being like the fucking lead guitarist? You're like, oh, fuck, now he's going to open his mouth.
Yeah. Yeah. It's like I'm coming up with all these cool songs, but I know that this dude's got to sing it.
Yeah, like, this fucking guy.
Yeah. I think, and this might be incorrect, so feel free to fact check me, everybody. But I think that like the lead singer, somebody in that band is related to Bam in some way, like his brother or something like that.
Maybe. Yeah, that sounds right.
That sounds right. Yeah. Yeah, but that, it's there's a lot of bands like that where the guitarists and the other musicians are extremely talented.
Coheed and Cambria.
Yeah, well,
I can't.
yeah, that's like the epitome of that.
Yeah, because I remember the first time I heard that song, I was like, ooh.
Yeah.
Ooh.
Oh, no. Oh, no. This is English? He does such a... I don't know. He must be foreign or something, but, like, it's... his voice inflection is very odd.
It's really strange.
Even for having an accent, the way he pronounces those words is weird.
Like, looking at, like, other bands that aren't English, like, they don't sound like that.
No.
Like,
a lot of times you can't even tell that they're English.
Periphery.
Yeah.
Like, he doesn't... They're from Australia. They don't sound like that.
That dude has an incredible range.
Yeah.
He's an incredible singer.
Or you look at, like, 12-Foot Ninja.
Mm-hmm.
You can listen to those guys talk.
Yeah.
They're super Australian.
Yeah.
But they don't sound like that when they sing.
Yeah, a lot of times you can't tell when they're singing, like they're British or whatever. It's like English actors.
Mm-hmm.
Excuse me, who play American characters. Like number one, Hugh Laurie, the guy who plays Dr. House.
Oh yeah.
I mean, I remember the first time I heard his like actual speaking voice, I was like, that can't be the same guy.
No.
That doesn't sound like the same guy at all.
Well, it's like, who is it? Andrew Garfield, the guy that played the second iteration of Spider-Man. He's British.
What the fuck?
Yeah.
See, I can always pick out when there's like an American person doing a British accent.
Yeah.
It's
they're just better actors, I guess.
I guess so. They're better thespians.
Yeah. Who is it? Tom Hardy. He's British.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I've seen so many interviews of him that it's
Yeah,
like,
that's
just.
I'm trying to think of like Tom Holland's British. There's a couple of them. You know who I always thought was like maybe they're British, but they're actually from fucking Kentucky?
Who?
Is Johnny Depp.
What?
Yeah, he's from Kentucky.
He's an American?
Yes.
I could have swore he was like from England or something.
He's like from Lexington, Kentucky.
That's a weird dude. He's a strange man.
One of the best actors ever.
Oh, for sure. No doubt about that.
Isn't it odd how like people who are like really strange make the best actors?
Yeah. It's like they can just kind of fade into that role.
Yeah.
Christian Bale. I mean,
Yeah.
you want to talk about a method actor. He's like the method actor.
It's like Daniel Day-Lewis.
Yeah.
Like when he played in Gangs of New York.
Mm-hmm. That fucking. Let's talk about that Robert De Niro clip that I sent you a while back, from that movie, The Irishman.
Oh yeah.
We should post that to the Facebook page. So there's that. I don't know if I've never seen the movie. I don't know, some of you probably have, but there's a clip or a scene in that movie where Robert De Niro goes to like a deli or something like that, and the proprietor of the deli had yelled at his daughter or something like that. I don't remember. What I really remember is that Robert De Niro goes in there and, he's going to do like this tough guy gangster beat up the shop owner type thing. And Robert De Niro is like an 80-year-old man.
Yeah.
And he moves like an 80-year-old man.
Yeah.
It's very stilted and like...
Everything's real like...
Everything's very rigid.
Yeah.
So,
seized up.
Yeah. Like he missed a couple oil changes. So kudos to whoever was acting as the shop owner because he had to sell that. He throws the shop owner like through the glass door.
Yeah.
And the dude like stumbles and falls like over to the curb. And Robert De Niro shuffles out the door like an old man and starts kicking him. And he does like these little old man like kicks. And you can clearly see that like several of the kicks are not connecting. He's like kicking at him. And they play the same exact sound effect 4 times in a row of the kick sound. It's like the whole scene is so bizarre to me because it's like terrible sound. It's terrible acting on De Niro's part. Not because he's a bad actor, but because he's fucking 80 years old.
No.
And it's not believable that he's beating up somebody.
No.
It's just the most... It looks so fucking dumb.
Yeah, I guess, like, as an actor, I would have to be like, listen, like, I would love to be able to do this thing. I think it's a great scene, but it's not realistic enough in order for... I can't even depict the scene. Like,
Well, I mean, I think you, who you are, would say that, but I think maybe Robert De Niro, who's been, like, a cinema legend, doesn't have that humility. Not to speak for Robert, but...
Not to speak for Robert. I'm speaking for him. You should have done that, Robert.
Yeah, it's really, really bad.
Yeah, I mean, because, all like tough guy scenes, like they're, like if you don't portray them correctly, they come off cringe.
Yeah.
Right? Like, so it has to, number one, you have to have the chemistry between the two people in the scene in order to sell the scene.
Right.
Right? Like, you can't.
The way that shop owner was acting was like he was being beaten up by a 25-year-old.
Yeah. He was acting like you see, like, some of the guys that, like, oversell, like, in wrestling.
Yeah.
Like, that's what it looked like.
Yeah.
It's like, you ever seen, like, the clips of, like, when, like, The Rock will get, like, clothesline and he hits the mat and then bounces up and, like, stumbles around and falls down.
It's, like, cartoonish. Yeah, so Robert De Niro's, though, they're doing, like, these little old man kicks, and he's got his arms up like a T-Rex, like little old man arms. And the guy's laying on the ground going, ah! Ah!
It's sort of like, you remember in Sam Raimi's Spider-Man, in Spider-Man 3, where, like, he kind of does, like, the emo Spider-Man deal or whatever?
Yeah.
Like, that's, like, I don't think that's what they were trying to go for, but that's what they got.
Yeah.
Because, number one, Toby can't sell that.
Yeah.
That's not him. So it comes off very cringy.
It does come off very cringy.
Like,
It's nothing to do with Toby.
Yeah.
Because Toby sold everything else.
Yeah.
It was like that version of him. It wasn't for him.
No.
It's like it was written for a different actor entirely. It's like
It's like you should be able to like look at your actor and go, I don't think that's gonna work.
I mean, think about Gran Torino. Clint Eastwood's like fucking. He's ancient in that movie.
Yeah.
He looks like an old man.
Yeah.
He acts like an old man. And he's, a tough guy in that movie.
No.
But they don't have him like fighting off 10 people at the same time.
No.
Because that wouldn't be fucking believable.
No.
And it would look stupid if you had Clint Eastwood, 85-year-old Clint Eastwood throwing punches when he's got his fucking belt up around his nipples.
Well, I mean, and also too, didn't he like write and direct that movie?
Yeah.
Well, I mean, also too, you're talking about Clint Eastwood, who is arguably one of, if not the best director.
Yeah, he's an incredible director.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
It's like, you ever seen the movie The Mule? Mm-hmm. Like, he's fantastic in that one too, and he's like 90 fucking years old.
Yeah, he just has he has a good eye for like, shot composition and
believability of the character and
all his like stories have a good flow to them.
Yeah.
It never feels like overwritten.
No. Well, sort of like, what's that movie, $1 Million Baby? That's another fantastic movie that he was in.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. That movie pisses me off.
Oh, yeah.
The end of that movie just pisses me the fuck off. Like, not number one, because, she gets paralyzed from a cheap shot.
Yeah.
But because her fucking shitbag family never did anything for her. They just wanted her money, so they pulled the plug on her. The whole time you're watching, I'm just seething.
Yeah.
You people suck.
But that kind of goes to show you like how good of like a movie director he is to be able to portray that and like get it right. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I like movies where actors kind of get to show like a talent that they have that you didn't know that they had. Like take for instance the most recent A Star Is Born. Like Bradley Cooper can really play guitar and he can really sing. Like those songs that his like character was singing in that movie were songs that he wrote and performed. So it's like I never knew that. I thought he was just an actor.
Yeah. Do you know that's like the third iteration of that movie?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, there's been a bunch of them. Even I think Lady Gaga, that was her first acting performance.
I think so.
Or at least,
she did really well
in movies, and she was an incredible actor, or actress rather. But yeah, I like when you kind of get to see that like
some range.
Some range, yeah, for sure. I like it even more when you see a performer show more range even in that thing that they do. Like if you have an actor who does like mainly serious things and then they do a comedy and just blow it out of the water. Yeah. It's cool to see that. You're like, oh wow, they can actually do
multiple things.
More than just that. It's like that video I sent you of all the guitarists playing the Game of Thrones theme.
Oh yeah.
If you guys haven't seen that video, you should go watch it. It's several different guys, like big names, like Tom Morello, the dude from Anthrax, Brad Paisley's in there. The interesting thing about that video is like I was watching it, and they're all just kind of like jamming, playing the Game of Thrones theme, and they're going down the line, and everybody's doing their own like type of solo over the theme. And when I saw Tom Morello, in my head I'm gonna hear whip 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 because because that's how he plays. And then it gets to him, and sure enough,
there we go, there it is.
I told you, it was like he just can't help himself.
He's like,
I have to do it. I have to make whippy sounds. But then it gets to fucking Brad Paisley, and he jams the fuck out.
Yeah,
like he's a country music.
Yeah, for like a long time, he's been doing country music. And
so I was when he came in that room with all those guys, it was like that's a weird guy to throw in that mix. Yeah. But then it gets to him, and like he
blew it out of the water.
I mean, yeah, I'm like, I didn't know you could play that.
Yeah, that's what I texted you back. I was like, he's been playing the wrong kind of music this whole time.
I was like, dude, I mean, like, fucking Brad could probably do, like, math core if he wanted to.
Yeah. I mean, people that can do multiple different types of things, like, that's really impressive to me.
Yeah.
Like,
especially if they can kind of just seamlessly transition, you know, from one style and, like, 180 into the next thing.
Yeah.
You know?
Sort of like, who was it? Like Woody Harrelson's really good at that. Like Woody Harrelson's done like some serious roles.
Yeah.
But then he's also done like Zombieland and like he's played like more serious roles. And who is it? John Goodman is really, really good at that.
Yeah.
He's probably the best.
Yeah, I love John Goodman. I haven't seen him in anything in a long time.
Like him and like The Big Lebowski. Yeah. Like he's like this crazy fucking character. As opposed to him and like, what's the movie where he like plays that crazy dude, Cloverfield Lane or whatever it is, like in that movie.
Down in the bunker.
Yeah, and then he plays like another role in Flight with Denzel Washington. Where
was he a lawyer in that movie?
No, he was this drug dealer.
Oh, he was this drug dealer.
He's like this crazy fucking drug dealer.
But then he plays have you ever seen The Gambler with Mark Wahlberg?
Yes.
He's like the mob boss.
Right.
Yeah.
And then like he plays Fred Flintstone in the Flintstones.
Yeah. They always put him in really believable roles. And can I just say, Fred Flintstone, who else could have been Fred Flintstone?
No, yeah, it's him.
It's him.
Yeah, it's him.
Why the fuck is Rosie O'Donnell Betty Rubble?
Yeah, that made no sense.
Betty Rubble was a sex icon back when the Flintstones were a thing.
Yeah.
She was like one of the first, like, you know, she was like Betty Boop.
Yeah.
She was that generation's Betty Boop. They're like, oh, we're going to have fucking Rosie O'Donnell play her.
Yeah, I guess maybe because she had like the same color hair. I mean, I don't.
Oh, is that all it takes? John Goodman looks exactly
like Fred Flintstone. Yeah, looks just like him.
It's always funny to look at those old cartoons because they didn't really know. I guess they didn't really know, like, a cartoon can be whatever the fuck we want it to be.
Yeah.
Anything and everything.
Yeah.
But they still, like, styled it after, like, you know, sitcoms.
Yeah.
Because that's, you know.
Well, that's
all they had to go off of.
Right. The format.
It's also funny, too, because, like, you'll, like, watch Scooby-Doo, and, you know, every single episode of Scooby-Doo is the exact same.
Exact same.
But it's still a good show. And they got away with it because the characters are so enjoyable.
Yeah.
And, like, they would always sometimes just have like a musical break in the middle of the show. It's such a 60s thing to do because TV shows at the time did that. There would be a musical number in the middle of it. Like, how many variety shows were there during the 60s? Every show was a variety show.
Yeah.
So, you know, they'd have.
Well, I mean, there were also like a lot of those shows too. Like when TV got started up, like variety shows, like you could go to somewhere and watch a variety show.
Yeah.
So they modeled that off of like in real life performances.
Yeah, they're like, what are people going to see?
Exactly.
You know, because we got to give them a reason to sit in front of their TV and stare at this thing. It was like, if, you know, we're just doing this one thing, they're like, well, fuck this. I'm going to go down to the Hoot and Holler and go watch that. You know, they have a dude who sets a pig on fire and throws it into the crowd.
I remember, like, as a kid, one of the things about Scooby-Doo, like, I loved Scooby-Doo as a kid, but one of the things I couldn't stand was, like, when there was, like, a trap door. Like, the trap door was a different color than everything else in the scene.
It stood out.
Yeah. It's like, as an adult, I understand why they did that.
Oh, yeah. Because it has to be animated. Because everything else was painted.
Exactly. Because it's like they have to draw and paint, like, every single one of those frames.
Yeah. They, you know, the backgrounds, you know, when they say painted, were literally painted.
Yeah.
They weren't drawn with, like, pens and markers and thing. They painted them, like, watercolors and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So, you know, when you're watching an episode of Scooby-Doo, like, how many different backgrounds are there? And a lot of times it's like, you know, they painted that background for that episode, and then that was all that was.
Yeah.
And those paintings are impressive.
Yeah.
Genuinely talented artists painting these things, and it shows up for 2 seconds, and then, you know, Fred falls through a plank on a dock, and then that's it. No more of that painting.
Yeah.
It's also really cool to see how they did perspective back then, too. Like, there's this clip from, I think it's a Mickey Mouse cartoon, where Mickey Mouse is walking through, like, the woods, And, the background, of course, is, it's all painted, but it's painted on this long sheet. Think like it's like an 11 by 240 inch sheet.
Yeah.
So they have that whole backdrop painted from end to end, but then they have like another layer like in the foreground.
Yeah.
It's on a completely different thing, but it's painted on transparent paper.
Mm-hmm.
And then Mickey Mouse is on the top of that. So as Mickey Mouse is moving through, the woods, the background is moving at a slower rate. They're literally moving it across and taking pictures of snapshots.
Yeah.
So the background, they're moving that slow. The foreground is moving faster, so it gives that perspective.
Mm-hmm.
And it was kind of cool to think, now you're like, well, obviously that's how that works. But back then they figured that out. They was like, this is how we're going to do that.
Yeah.
So Mickey Mouse, they have him like he climbs over a log, but they drew that separately from the log.
Yeah.
So it's really cool to see how they did that back then.
Well, especially too to get that timing correctly. When you're talking about if you're not drawing him going over the log, but you're drawing the log separately, and then him going over something.
Yeah.
Like to get that timing correct.
It's like if you ever go and you watch like an old cartoon, especially like a cartoon like is mass produced, because like Mickey Mouse stuff, like especially movies, were large budget animated things.
No.
So they were a lot more scrutinized and critiqued. But if you watch like Scooby-Doo, like watch the characters' feet. A lot of times, their gait doesn't match the distance that they're covering.
No.
And it's kind of hard. Once you notice it, it's kind of hard to look away from that. Like that even happens in 3D movies a lot.
Yeah.
Like that scene from Monsters Inc. where they leave the apartment, they're like walking to work or whatever.
Yeah.
There are several shots in that movie where Mike Wazowski's feet don't look like they're touching the ground.
Yeah.
They're just like sliding. And once you notice that,
you can't
ever unsee it.
Yeah.
And once you realize that his feet aren't actually in that world, he doesn't look like it. He looks like he's over the top of everything.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know. I mean, it's, it's a very particular thing.
Yeah.
But once you notice it, it's hard to unsee that.
It's sort of like if you are ever watching anything and the person's mouth is moving, but it's not matching.
Yeah.
Like what they're saying, like if it's off by just like a half a second.
Yeah.
Like I can't.
Yeah.
I can't watch this anymore.
You can't unsee that.
Yeah.
Mary will hate when I do that because I'll catch things like that.
No.
And sometimes I find myself looking for things like that.
Yeah.
And once I point it out, Mary's like, "Fuck! Now I can't watch this without
turn
seeing
this
that."
off.
It's like we watched that Jake Gyllenhaal movie, and they did that scene. As soon as I realized they did that one camera angle, I was like, "Oh, this is a Michael Bay movie." And Mary's like, "What do you mean?" I was like, "Just watch. Look how this shot's directed." I was like, "Every shot for the rest of the movie is gonna be like this."
Yeah.
And from beginning to end, she was like, "I couldn't notice anything else other than the camera angles, all the lens flare."
Yeah. Yeah, it's interesting to see how far, especially with the animation, they've come. Like going from, like you look at like the old, like how old's Fantasia? Fantasia came out in like the 50s.
Was it really that long ago?
I think so. It was a long time ago. I think
you're right.
Snow White came out in the 40s.
Snow White was the first 2D animated feature-length film.
Yeah, I think it was. I think Snow White came out like in the late 48 or something like that. And then you go. When did
was rotoscoped.
Yeah, and when did Monsters Inc. come out? Because that was like when
early
Monsters
2000s,
Inc. came out. Like they worked on that for a long time. Like I remember going to multiple Pixar movies as a kid.
Yeah,
and like them using Mike Wazowski in Sully,
like in shorts or whatever.
Like in shorts, like to get the movie started. That's what they used to do.
Yeah.
And I remember being like, well, when the fuck is that movie? Like, they've been advertising this movie for ages.
Yeah. Well, we had talked about before, like, Pixar used to really push the boundaries of like, technology when they made those movies.
Yeah.
Like,
well, wasn't it like with Monsters, Inc., like, they animated every single one of, like, Sully's hairs, like, on his body?
Well, yeah, but they had, like a physics engine for his hair.
Yeah.
So, like, if he moves his arm like this, from front to back, the physics engine would know that there would be air resistance on the hair on his arm, so his hair would blow back and then it would move forward, like once the motion stopped.
Yeah.
So they had things like that, but like, in the most recent Incredibles movie, there's a scene where Mr. Incredible is holding up the baby and he's wearing a polo shirt, and you could see the like fuzz on his shirt.
Yeah.
Like,
it's so crazy.
Why, did you have to go that far?
Yeah.
I'm like, it's cool that you did, but
Yeah.
I mean,
it's flexing on everybody at this
just
point.
flexing. That's what Toy Story 4 was.
Toy Story 4 was
like,
crazy.
Yeah, from a technological standpoint,
Yeah.
Toy Story 4 was like had to be created from the ground up.
Yeah.
Just to make that movie. Like so many of the shots in that movie, it's like if there wasn't a spork with eyeballs standing in the scene, you'd never know that it was an animated movie.
Yeah, there's one particular scene in that movie where there's not like any. It might have been like the cat or what. Like the cat is
where
like
it's
stretching
in the sunlight.
Sunlight, and I was like, whoa.
And the way the light like disperses through the cat's fur. Yeah.
I like that is a crazy shot.
One thing that a lot of, when you get in like 3D animated stuff like that, that's hard to do is liquid, like fluids, hair, and cloth, like cloth physics.
Yeah.
Like if somebody takes like a blanket and they throw it, it expands like this and then it drapes around.
Yeah.
So there's in your 3D modeling software, whatever it happens to be, a lot of that stuff has like a physics engine dedicated to simulating what that cloth will do, and that's very resource intensive.
Yeah.
But these movies will have like cloth stuff in every scene.
Yeah.
So I mean, they have these places called render farms, where they'll do all the animating and like rigging and modeling everything at the studio, and then they'll send that project file to a render farm that has like 25 supercomputers all linked together.
Yeah.
So that it can render this scene.
Yeah.
And make it play out in real time, and that's incredibly resource intensive.
Yeah.
I was like, you wouldn't think that. You think you would just animate and you hit go.
Yeah, because I wonder, like, how many. It'd have to be petabytes. There's no way it could be terabytes.
Oh, we're far past terabytes. Yeah.
Like, I wonder, as far as, like, when you're talking about source files for the movie, like, how many petabytes, just for Toy Story 4, like, how many do it'd have to be. It's up so high that I can't even take even a close guess.
Yeah. I mean, when they, send
10,
those
15 petabytes
something
worth
like
of data.
I mean, when they send those, project files, it probably has to be delivered physically, like on a hard drive. And they're not sending this stuff through email.
No.
Or, putting it on a Google Drive or something like that. No. So when you think about it like a 3D, take that shot where the cat is stretching in like the antique store. So that, room has to be built first, the room that they're in. So all that physical space, the empty space in between is data.
Yeah.
It's, I don't know if it's null data. It can't be. It's actually rendered as empty space where things can be.
Yeah.
So then there's like a cabinet, but inside that cabinet is empty space when there's objects, inside the cabinet and there's space between them.
Yep.
So there's all of that has to be rendered.
Right.
It's not just the cat moving around that has to be rendered. All the stuff that's not doing anything also has to be rendered. It's why when they almost lost Toy Story 2, why that was such a big thing.
No.
Because even if they were only 2 weeks into production, it would have been a huge loss.
Yeah.
But they were like at the finish line of this movie, and they accidentally deleted Toy Story 2. And it just so happened to be that an employee who was away on maternal leave had a copy. So Toy Story 2 almost didn't fucking happen.
They're like, oh my God.
I just couldn't imagine. It's like, do you remember that scene in SpongeBob where all the little SpongeBobs are running around in his brain and everything's on fire? That must have been what it was like at the Pixar studio.
Man, could you imagine being like the senior dev for that and being like, I'm done. I'll never get another job.
I have to skip town. Like the Pixar mafia is going to come after me and give me cement shoes, throw me at the bottom of the Potomac. I watched that video again this morning of that guy hitting that ostrich.
Oh, yeah.
There's this video of this guy who's on a farm. Just when I said render farm earlier, it made me think of it. He's standing there, and this ostrich comes up on him. And like, I don't know if you've ever seen an ostrich in real life. They're big.
They're big.
They're big. That's a big old bird. And it's got its wings out like this, like, I'm going to fuck you up.
They're fucking mean.
Yes, they are. Them and emus.
Well, they're fucking dinosaurs.
Yeah. And they haven't devolved as much as a chicken has.
Yeah, like dinosaurs, birds, like lizards didn't come from dinosaurs.
Yeah.
Birds did.
If a rooster, like, have you ever been around a rooster? They're mean.
Yeah, I fucking hate chickens.
Yeah. So, like, if a rooster was the size of an ostrich, that's a bad day.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's not good.
It's like if a house cat was the size of a lion.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But so this ostrich comes up, and it's got its wings out like it's going to fuck this guy up. And it can. Like, it absolutely could.
Yeah.
Like, a ostrich, if it kicked you, it's got those sharp talons.
Yeah.
It can disembowel you. All your guts come out in one kick.
Yeah.
So this guy sticks his arm out, and he grabs the ostrich's noodle neck.
Yeah.
And he's got like a rock in one hand. And he just... Bah! Hits the ostrich across the face. And the ostrich, like, it looks like a cartoon. He like, whoa, whoa. He like stumbles away.
Oh.
It made me think, like, say it was like you got a wild animal coming after you.
Yeah.
What's the move? Because the only thing you have over this animal is these thumbs.
Thumbs, yeah.
And one of mine doesn't bend all the way anymore because I blew it off.
Yeah, I've also, it's like, what was it, that video where that dude punches that kangaroo?
Yeah, it had his dog in a headlock.
Yeah. And the dude's like squares up with that kangaroo.
Up with the kangaroo.
And he like punches that kangaroo, and the kangaroo's like,
ugh. Well, kangaroo's never been punched before.
Yeah.
He's probably been kicked by other kangaroos.
Yeah.
But he's never took a haymaker to the jaw. He went to all the other kangaroos and was like, I don't know what that guy did to me. It was like, but I don't ever want that to happen again. They say, like, if you get attacked by a shark, you're supposed to try and punch it.
You ever try to punch anything through the
Underwater?
water?
Yeah. It's like, it's not happening.
No.
How am I going to punch this shark? Number one, a shark doesn't bite and hold on.
No.
A shark bites off.
Yeah.
You're talking about 1,200, 1,500 pounds per square inch of bite force.
With razor-sharp
teeth. Whatever he's latched onto, it's gone.
Yeah.
So how am I...
You're not getting it back.
Yeah. It's like, how am I going to punch this thing?
Yeah.
It's like, like if a dog bites you, he's latched on.
Yeah.
He's at least still there.
Yeah.
You could poke him in the eye or something.
Inflict some damage, but...
Yeah. If a shark gets you, that's it. Your leg is gone before you even knew he was there.
What do you think is the largest animal you could win against in a fight?
Oh, man. It would have to be like a large-sized dog, I think. Because I think I can outsmart a dog in a fight. I think that's what it comes down to.
Yeah.
Right? It has to be, you have to be able to outsmart it.
No.
Because, like, even if it's like a small-sized bear,
like, you're fucked.
I'm fucked. Like,
you're fucked.
Number one, that's,
That's a fucking bear.
It's a fucking bear. Yeah. Like, it has, like I've said before, it's got knives for feet and teeth. And, like, they're incredibly strong.
Yeah.
So the bear is out of the question, no matter what size bear. Maybe a cub. I could probably kick a cub really hard. But I wouldn't do that because he's sweet. But, like, a dog, like a big dog, like the biggest dog I could probably take, like anything bigger than Lex, I probably couldn't handle.
Yeah.
Because, if it bites me, like I've played, stick with Lex, and he grabs onto the end of the stick, and he pulls hard enough. Like, you would think he'd just pull a stick out of his mouth, but no, he's biting so hard, I can't get it away from him.
Yeah.
And he's, pulling me like across the yard.
Yeah.
So if that was my arm in his hand, like, would I ever be able to get my feet under me to be able to do anything?
I think it depends, right? So I think where a lot of people get fucked up is that you'd be trying to fight an animal as if you're fighting a person. And you can't do that. No. Like, you have to go feral.
Yeah. like you have to get on all fours and
like, you have to be willing to, like, bite chunks out of something.
Yeah. like bite it with my flat molars.
And, like, rip it out.
My weak ass teeth.
Like, just biting, like, multiple times into something, right? I think anything, so there are no great apes.
Oh yeah, none of those.
There's no type of monkey.
If it's like me and a chimp,
yeah, you're fucked. You are fucked.
Beyond fucked.
Yeah.
Not only is the chimp going to try and kill me, it's probably going to torture me.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, there's no
I'm
way.
at the mercy of this thing.
There's no way you could ever beat up a chimp.
Yeah.
There's no way you could ever beat up an orangutan.
Even if I had like a bat or a crowbar.
Yeah.
It's not happening.
Like a gorilla would just smash you with he'd just slap you and you'd be done.
Yeah.
And then there's no way you could beat up a bonobo.
Nope.
The baboons are fucking horrific animals.
Yeah, scary. Baboons are actually scary. Yeah.
Like I even think like even like a Reese's, like it'd fuck you up.
Yeah, like a macaque.
Yeah.
A little 5-pound monkey.
Yeah, it'd fuck you up, right?
Because he's going around you, climbing you like a jungle gym.
Yeah. The only chance you'd have with that is like grab him.
Yeah, if
and
you
just like smash him on the ground.
If you manage to get him around the neck.
Yeah.
And then just start swinging him.
Yeah.
Like whacking him into walls and stuff.
But, fuck, I don't know. I mean, I guess, I would say the largest animal that I could probably beat up would be a pig. I think I could take a pig.
You think you could take a pig?
I think so.
Like a domesticated pig? Because you're talking about a wild boar.
Yeah, not a wild boar. Yeah, I'd be fucked with a wild boar.
Yeah.
But like a domesticated pig, yeah, I'd fuck him up. Like you picked the wrong fucking day.
Yeah. Like you don't understand, piggy. I eat you. Yeah, I mean, there's so much.
Pigs can get pretty big. I mean, you're talking about like a 400-pound pig.
Yeah.
I could take a 400-pound pig.
Yeah, I mean, he's got no neck.
Yeah.
So, I mean, like, his range of motion he's not as, as dexterous as I am.
Right. Yeah. So, like, I could, like, get around him.
Yeah.
Right?
You can get behind him or something.
I could get behind him, and I think just, like, sweeping legs.
Little stubby legs.
Yeah, until you finally just probably, like, break one of them.
Break one, yeah.
Yeah. And then he's done.
Yeah. You got a pig with a broke leg. I mean,
yeah, what are you going to do?
What are you going to do? Got that big old nose, you could boot him right in that big old snout.
Yeah, like I've heard people be like, oh, I could take a wolf. There's no way you're taking a wolf.
People don't understand how fucking big wolves are.
There's no way you're taking a wolf. Like, they're not as big as Buddy, but they're pretty fucking big.
Yeah. Yeah, like we went to that fucking animal sanctuary. We got to play with a 9-month-old wolf puppy.
Yeah.
That thing was bigger than Lex at 9 months. I mean, Lex is 110 pounds.
Yeah.
This thing was not done growing yet.
And, I remember when we went to, where's the place down in, like, down near Noonan, where it's, like, got the drive-through.
The Pine Mountain Animal Safari?
Yeah, Pine Mountain Animal Safari. They had, like, wolves in there, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And I remember this was when Buddy was still alive. And I remember walking in, I was like, well, boy, Buddy's big. I bet these wolves are massive.
Yeah.
I walked in, I was like, my dog's bigger than these fucking wolves? And, like, that really put in perspective for me how large my dog was.
Yeah, that fucking picture that I always show everybody of Buddy sitting in the chair next to Dad.
Yeah.
People are like, that's not real.
Yeah.
It's like, no, that's real.
Yeah, it's real.
I was like, I'm pretty sure he wasn't done growing when I took that picture.
Yeah.
He was huge.
I think at the biggest, he was like 240 pounds.
That's insane.
Just massive.
I'm only like 20 pounds heavier than that.
Yeah. He's huge.
Yeah, I mean, when you think about other animals and like their capacity to inflict damage.
Yeah.
I mean, they have humans beat by
miles.
Miles. With teeth and claws and fangs and just like raw strength.
Right. And like I've always thought, like when I was saying too, it's like you wouldn't be able to fight an animal the same way you fight a person, because we've done this thing with fighting where it's like there's all these rules around it, right? And it's like
punching, kicking.
Yeah, punching, kicking. Yeah. Like choking, like that kind of stuff. But like
an animal's not gonna fight like that.
Yeah, an animal's like I'm
going to kill you.
I'm going to kill you, right? It's like
I'm not gonna knock you out and shout world star.
Right. So like it's not like you don't see like somebody get into like a street fight and like all of a sudden some dude like bites other dude's neck. Like he's like, whoa, like, what the fuck is going on here?
Like clawing at his gut.
Yeah.
Trying to get his intestines out. Yeah, that would be a very different situation.
Yeah, right. But that happens all the time in the animal kingdom.
Yeah, because that's just how they fight.
Yeah. Like you see like deer and stuff, like when they fight for like mating rights, like they'll skewer the other one.
They gore each other with their antlers. Like even a deer, I don't know if I could probably take a doe But if it got up on its
Oh,
back,
I'd fuck a doe up.
but if it got up on like its back legs and whacked me in the face with one of those hooves,
Yeah.
that'd be it.
Yeah.
I'd be out for the count. They'd probably crush my fucking skull.
I don't know. Because I've seen a doe, like, do that to, like, a hunter or whatever.
Yeah.
And, like, the dude's standing there like a fucking dumbass, and he's, like this.
Yeah.
And, like, get around the side
Yeah.
of the deer.
Kick it in the stomach or something.
Yeah, like, just give it, like, a swift uppercut, like, right in the rib cage.
But if it was a buck,
Oh, if it's a buck,
and he comes charging at you with those horns,
Yeah.
there's nothing to... I mean, I guess you could try your best to try and grab those antlers,
Yeah.
but you might just impale your hands, and then he's gonna like that with his head.
I guess it depends. I wonder how much force a buck could generate if you grab the antlers and you like shove the head down to the ground. Because I feel like if you could get the antlers,
I don't think it would be easy.
I feel like if you could get the antlers and like shove and twist at the same time,
Give you some leverage.
You could get him off balance. Because if you push and pull at the same time, you can generate a lot of force.
Yeah.
And like if you could get him on his side, and then like drop a knee to the neck,
Yeah.
like then he's fucked.
Yeah, that's true. But that first step of grabbing the antlers.
Yeah, you're gonna have impeccable timing, right?
Not to mention he's coming at you probably full speed.
Yeah.
And so even if those antlers, if they hit you in the hand like this,
Yeah.
that could probably break your hand.
Yeah. It would be one of those you're gonna have to hang on.
Yeah.
You're gonna have to commit.
No half measures here. Your best option is to be wearing steel-toe boots and try and kick him in the face when he gets in range.
Well, it's sort of like maybe a deer. I could maybe take it. It'd have to be impeccable timing, and I'd have to get lucky.
So you're talking about best case scenario.
Best case scenario.
You could take a deer.
Not like on my worst day.
Yeah.
On my worst day, a pig, like a domesticated pig.
Like you're hungover.
Yeah.
Like you've really got to go to the bathroom.
Yeah. But like on my best day, I could maybe take like a 180-pound buck, maybe.
Yeah.
Like I said, it'd have to be impeccable timing.
Yeah. You'd have to get it just right.
Yeah, just right.
After that, he's yours. But man,
Yeah.
if you fuck that first move
Yeah.
up,
Then I'm fucked. Yeah.
yeah, you're all poked full of holes now.
But as far as like anything bigger than that, like there's no fucking way.
No.
You're talking about like a moose.
Yeah.
A moose will kill you.
Oh yeah, that's another thing that people don't
A
understand.
moose
how
will
big
chase
those
you
are.
down to kill you.
Yeah, a moose is coming after you.
Yeah.
He's hunting you. Like if I stood next to like a full-grown moose, like an Alaskan moose, like his back would be like.
You could walk under him.
Yeah, I could walk underneath him without ducking. Like people, that's like I said, it is another one of those animals that people don't understand just how large those fucking things
Yeah,
are.
it's like a 1,600-pound animal.
Yeah. And you can't grab them antlers.
No. Yeah. Good luck. He'll toss you up in the air. It's sort of like in that scene in Jackass Forever when that bull tossed Johnny Knoxville up in the air. That's exactly what you'd look like.
Flipped him around.
Yeah. Because like a full-grown cow will kill a bear. Will kill a grizzly bear. Will chase the grizzly bear doan and kill it.
Yeah, when you say cow, you mean female moose.
Yeah, female moose.
Yeah.
Right. Like, we'll chase a grizzly bear down and kick it to death.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's like, they have reports of giraffes kicking lions so hard that they decapitate them.
Oh, yeah. Well,
It kicked its head off.
yeah. And it's crazy, too, with giraffes that, like, they'll kick like that, but then, like, the way that they fight is they, like, stand side to side and they, like, slap each other with their necks.
The way they fight each other, yeah.
Yeah.
It's one of the most bizarre looking things.
Yeah.
Just swinging them long necks at each other.
You imagine, like, if you got hit by a giraffe swinging its neck like that?
Oh, man, you would just crumble.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just get, like, launched into the air.
Yeah, you'd be launched like 40 feet in the air, and just all your bones would be broken. You'd hit the ground like a sack of potatoes. That'd be a bad day. Giraffes are like, they don't look like they're from this planet.
No.
There's nothing that looks like a giraffe.
There's nothing in Africa that looks like it's from this planet.
Well, I mean...
In Australia, it's the same way. It's like you look at like a fucking hippopotamus.
Yeah.
Like, the fuck is that?
Well, I mean, even like...
That's a tank.
Yeah. I mean, take a hippopotamus and put it next to a rhino. There's some similarities there.
Yeah.
They're four-legged, they're big, they're bulky. But, I mean, a giraffe looks like nothing else. There's nothing that has any similarity to a giraffe whatsoever.
Yeah.
Like, all the different, like, cloven animals like deer. They take a white-tailed deer and like a black-tailed deer, and then like a pronghorn and even a moose. There's a lot of similarities across that spectrum. All the different bears kind of look alike. All the monkeys, all the great apes, all kind of look alike.
Yeah.
But a giraffe
is
just so different.
It's sort of like a kangaroo. Like the fuck? What is that?
Yeah, that's another one.
What the fuck is that? You imagine being like the first like English guy to pull up on fucking Australian Sikh. You're like, what the fuck is that? What is that?
And it hops over and kicks you really hard.
Hops over and guts you in front of everybody.
Yeah, it's interesting to think about like the first people who saw those continent-specific animals, right? Like the first guy who went to Africa from like England or whatever and saw a giraffe.
Yeah,
he would have just stood there in awe of the thing.
Yeah,
like what in the absolute hell is that motherfucker?
Yeah, or like the first person from England to see like a fucking elephant. Like, whoa.
Yeah, or a lion.
Oh yeah,
he probably didn't see the lion.
He didn't see it for very long.
The lion probably saw him first.
He's like, what's this in?
Right, what's all this then? Yeah, I mean, like hyenas even are kind of similar to dogs in a way.
Yeah,
even though they're an entirely different species, they're not canines. Yeah, but giraffes just like I don't know. They're so interesting to me. Like, have you ever gone to the Atlanta Zoo and gone to the giraffe exhibit?
Mm-hmm.
They can walk right. They have that perch that you can walk out on.
No,
and the giraffes can come up to you. You can get within arm's reach of a giraffe.
No.
But they when I had first started my previous job, one of the job sites I was on was they were building like a Sahara exhibit.
No.
And so I guess they're going to put like all the Saharan animals over there. So we had to run like a gas line over to where their enclosure would be, so they could heat it during the winter.
Yeah.
So while we're standing out there working, all the animals are like looking at us. So like over here we can see like there's like lions kind of like looking at us, and like there's like giraffes just standing there looking at us, and they're probably 300, 400 feet away, but there's something very primal about knowing that there's a lion looking at you.
A large cat looking at you.
Like
there's like this uneasiness.
Yeah. It's like it makes the skin crawl. It made my hackles stand up, It's like it was like I remember I looked over at
this kind of goes to show you like you are a prey animal.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. I'm not a predator.
No.
At all. We live in this unnatural world that we created. Like because obviously I saw the giraffe first. We can't miss him. He's giant and yellow.
Yeah.
But I remember looking, past him a little bit and seeing the lions. There was like a male lion and like I think 2 female lions, and they're just standing there looking at us. And even from the distance that he was away, I could tell like that's a big fucking animal. That thing's massive. I was like, and I honestly feel like he could clear this gap.
Oh man,
if he really wanted to.
Like, I think the most uneasy I've probably ever felt around like an animal was the first time we went to the Atlanta Zoo, me and Allison.
Yeah.
And we went over to where the gorilla exhibit is, and there's like 3 of them sitting over there. And there's like one of the zookeepers is like, she's like, all right, well, we're going to throw them some mangoes.
Yeah.
And like the gap between where the gorilla, like there's like that, it was like a gap.
It's like a trench.
Like a trench,
yeah, and
right?
they have like the double fence.
Right.
Yeah.
But it's not that far. Like it's maybe 12, 15 feet.
Like if the gorilla really put his mind to it.
Yeah.
He could clear it.
He could clear it. Yeah. He could definitely clear it. Right? And so like I'm standing there like, man, that's not a very big gap. And then so she takes this mango and throws it, and it lands in front of this gorilla on the left-hand side, and he goes to pick it up. And I'm guessing the alpha's in the middle.
Yeah.
And he's like,
That's my mango.
Yeah. And so he just open hand slaps this other gorilla like square in the face. He's like, in the smell coming off these gorillas, like you could smell it from like 300 or 400 feet away.
Yeah.
Like I started smelling it before we walked up. Yeah. And then it was just an all-out brawl.
I was gorilla brawl.
And I was like, oh, fuck.
Yeah, imagine it being in the middle of that. Just a whirlwind of big hairy fists.
Like that's like the most uneasy like I've ever felt in my life.
Yeah. It's it's very interesting when you're in a situation like that, and that primal part of you kind of starts to speak up. It's like, I haven't had much to say lately.
Yeah.
We need to get out of here.
Everything in your body is like, you need to get away from out. You need to get away from this as fast as possible.
Yeah, there's nothing in your body that's like, get in there and kick his ass.
No.
No one's saying that.
No. Like, there's no amount of delusion.
Yeah. Yeah, we're all on the same playing field. I mean, you stick Brock Lesnar in there with a gorilla, Brock's dead.
Yeah, dead.
Gorilla wins every time.
Dead. Yeah. I wonder what's the largest animal Brock Lesnar could have, like, in his prime, like before, like the diverticulitis and everything, because he was so much bigger and so much faster.
Yeah.
And so much stronger.
Yeah.
Than everyone else.
He was a freak. He was a fucking freak.
Like, I remember when he fought Randy Couture, and he punched Randy Couture in the face.
Yeah.
And Randy Couture landed on his back and then went to go roll over. And by the time he rolled over, Brock Lesnar had ran and jumped and was like midair and just landed on him. And Randy was like this.
Nobody fights like this.
And I don't know if it just surprised him, because Brock landed on top of him and pinned both of his hands to his chest and was beating him in the head with this big lunchbox of a fucking hand that he has. Watching him in his prime.
Yeah, it's scary.
I don't know if there was a more, I'm not going to say, he's not the GOAT.
Oh, no.
But the most dominant.
Yeah.
Yeah, he was the most explosive, and for a very short time, the most dominant fighter that's ever been in the UFC.
Maybe that was his thing.
The scariest.
Yeah. It was he blitzkrieged his opponents, just attack suddenly and with overwhelming force.
Yeah, obviously it changed a lot after he had that, after they had remove a piece of his intestine or whatever.
Yeah.
Well, after that, he was never the same.
Yeah.
But when he first came in, that second fight that he fought Frank Mir and beat the living shit out of Frank Mir.
Yeah. He was larger by a long shot than most heavyweights.
Oh, yeah.
And faster
he's
than featherweights.
Yeah, he was, you look at him, he's how wide he was.
That was the worst part about it, was his speed. How fast he was for how large he was.
Yeah.
It didn't make any sense.
No. Your brain, I'm sure, if you got in the ring, your brain is trying to compute, what is happening right now.
It's like getting hit by a fucking car.
Yeah, it's like trying to fight a silverback gorilla.
Yeah, he just have no chance.
But as far as the greatest of all time, in my opinion, it has to be John Jones.
You talking about as far as MMA?
Yeah, UFC fighters. John Jones is so good.
Yeah.
He's had a lot of issues.
Yeah.
But the spinning back elbows.
Mm-hmm.
I just remember one fight where the dude he threw a jab and John slapped it down. And when he slapped it down, he came over the top with an elbow and knocked this dude the fuck out.
Yeah.
I'm how? Because
how are you computing actions that quickly?
Yeah, well,
that was the thing about him. He was big and he was large. He was fast, but also he had a good mind.
Well, for light heavyweight, he was so much taller than everybody else. He's 6'4".
Yeah,
and he has these real long fucking legs. It's so he's
real long arms.
Yeah, and he's gonna kick you from the other side of the cage.
Yeah,
you
Plastic Man.
Yeah, you can't get in close enough.
Yeah, I mean that was that's so much of that is his speed as far as reaction time, and his ability to
time shots,
counter.
Counter.
Yeah,
right.
That's the big thing. It's most of your hits and everything are going to land after somebody whiffed theirs or landed theirs. So it's it's all about trading blows.
Right.
So if a dude throws a jab and he hits you and you turn away from it, then that's your opportunity to hit him.
Yeah, because he's left it open.
Yeah.
Right.
But even that window is not
very small,
very big. You almost have to kind of
You're talking about the
do
best of the best in the world.
Yeah.
Right. You're talking about the cream of the crop.
Yeah. I watched a video of it was Bruce Lee's only recorded actual fight.
Yeah.
And he's fighting a guy And they're both wearing like pads, like helmets, and like the dude fighting him is wearing like a bulletproof vest because Bruce Lee was a freak of nature.
Yeah.
And the dude like throws a kick. He goes to throw like a kick from like his off stance or whatever.
Yeah.
Before his foot even came off the ground, Bruce Lee had kicked him in the face.
Yeah.
I was like, if you're watching the video, you can see he's telegraphing the kick, the guy he's fighting.
Yeah.
He's telegraphing the kick. But most people would take that as an opportunity to stance up and like get ready to either absorb that hit or move out of the way or something. Bruce Lee said, here's my chance to kick him first.
Yeah, exactly.
So he sees this guy about to kick, and then Bruce Lee goes through the full range of motion of kicking somebody before that dude's foot came off the ground.
Yeah.
So that ability to, perceive and react and act all in that window is not. I don't think that's something that can be trained.
Right. Well,
that has to be like a physiological difference in their brain to be able to do that.
Right. It's a form of genius. Right.
In a way, yeah.
It's a form of. It's the same way. It's sort of the same way when you look at like strength athletes. It's like there's some you can't teach it.
Yeah.
Like you talk about like, we were talking about like Eddie Hall. Mm-hmm. Like deadlifting over it's like 1,100 pounds or something. Like not everybody can do that. That's a form of genius.
Yeah. Like if you took Eddie Hall and another dude, and he
started them out at the same time.
At the same time, did the same exercise, same diet, everything, all the way 100% exactly the same. Eddie Hall would still be far more capable than that other guy, just because he's just built different.
his central nervous system, is just created to do it.
Yeah.
And the funny thing about him was he was a competitive swimmer before he got into. Yes, correct.
Eddie Hall.
He was a competitive swimmer before he started doing strongman.
Wow.
And who is it? The other one, the American guy, Brian Shaw.
Yeah.
He's massive. He's like 6'8" and like 450 pounds.
Yeah.
He was a basketball player. He was skinny.
Wow.
Before he started doing strongman. So a lot of the guys.
So he put on like 300 pounds.
Yeah, he put on like 200 pounds.
Muscle.
Yeah. So a lot of the guys that are like really, really good at the sport, like they were athletes before they were actually strongmen.
Yeah. So they have that sharpened mind.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, also, another thing is like it's easier for people to learn at a young age, sort of like body control and everything, as opposed to when they get older. Like if you set those patterns early, then it's easier to sort of keep the patterns as opposed to like taking somebody who really, if you take somebody that really didn't do that kind of stuff and growing up and then you get them at that like age 22, like it's going to take longer in order for your body to acclimate. Because they have to
like almost kind of unlearn some things.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
That's why they teach kids, multiple languages at such a young age now.
Yeah, because you're so pliable, right?
Yeah. It used to be you wouldn't start learning new languages or take language classes until like high school.
Yeah.
Like I didn't take Spanish until 10th grade, I think. 10th or 11th?
Yeah, I think I started taking it in 10th grade.
So they're teaching kids now in like kindergarten, like other languages.
Yeah, because they're just little sponges.
Yeah, there's anything you give them, they're going to hold on to.
Right.
So now's the perfect time to, teach them other things
now
like that.
if you want to learn something, like you really have to concentrate on like what, like it's like earlier, like when you were like a little kid, like okay, and then like you kind of remember,
Yeah. It's just I just intrinsically have that knowledge now.
From an evolutionary standpoint, it makes a lot of sense because as a kid, it's like you're having to process a lot of new information.
Yeah, you got to be able to hold and retain
be able to hold
stuff.
and retain stuff.
Yeah.
Or it's like, oh, don't eat that mushroom. Eat this mushroom.
Like, got it.
Yeah.
Now, if you're like 30 years old and they're like, don't eat that one, but eat that one, and you turn around and do something else, you're like, wait, which mushroom? Hang on, I think it was that one.
I wonder if it's just like your brain, if it doesn't fire the way that it used to, or if it's just like there's so much information that it's like I have to get rid of something in order for me to retain this.
Yeah.
I'm assuming it's sort of like a hard drive.
Well, yeah, I was like, like we said in last episode, data is stored in a physical place.
Right.
Your brain is only so large.
Exactly. It's like I can't offload it to somebody else's brain.
Yeah. I mean,
there's not any cloud infrastructure for your brain.
Yeah. They there's a one of my coworkers is from India, and she moved over here to America in 9th grade or whatever. Mm-hmm. And she was taking calculus in like 7th grade in India, which calculus is usually not something you touch until 12th grade in America.
Yeah.
But so over there, I mean, they're teaching these, and calculus is like conceptual math.
Yeah,
Like
it's all theoretical.
It's not math. It's really applicable to your everyday.
Yeah.
So that's already if I can't really, I have a hard time learning something if I can't apply it.
Right.
Like I've always been that way. But like over there, they're teaching them that stuff at such a young age. But it could be like we said that they're younger.
Yeah.
They're
like
more.
We'll just give them more.
Yeah, they're
like,
able
that
to
way they're
learn
able
that.
to hold on to it.
It almost kind of makes me wonder how complicated, how conceptual can you get with what you're teaching kids?
Right.
So like, I mean, I honestly doubt you could teach calculus to like a
Like a fucking 8-year-old.
8-year-old.
Unless they're like some type of savant.
Yeah. Well, yeah, I mean, some of those kids, like are graduating college at 10.
Yeah.
They get over here and it's like, you fucking Americans are so dumb.
Yeah. Well, there's there's a lot of stuff that's wrong with like the American education system as far as like
standardized
testing and stuff like that. Because I mean, we understand it from the standpoint of how we've been using it, right? So it's like you have to have a test in order to be like, oh, you do understand the material that was taught to you and all that stuff. And then, there's arguments as to, whether or not it's like, should children really be getting recess and all this stuff?
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, well, good luck having a 6-year-old sit down for 8 hours a day and learn the whole time.
And pay attention the entire time.
Yeah, right. It's like, but also, too, it's like,
he had sugar for breakfast and sugar for lunch.
Is it that the diet is so bad that they can't pay attention, right?
Yeah. And then, the schools are tax funded.
Right.
So if you live in a poor area where there's not a lot of income, then your school's going to suck.
Right. And then, not only that, but it's like, as opposed to some of the other countries like India, I'm not sure, how well off they are. I know that there's some pretty poor places in India.
Yeah.
Where it's like, as here, it's like, well, foods that are high in carb and high in fat, that's the easiest way to get
the cheap stuff.
Calories out to the masses, right? So it's like, well, pick your poison.
Yeah.
How is it that you want to go about this?
Do you want to go bankrupt trying to feed a kid a nutritious meal so that he can learn?
Right.
Or do you want to
we're just trying to get some fucking food in him.
You want to put pizza and milk in him?
Yeah.
At 10:30 a.m. Yeah, there's a lot of problems with it. I mean, if there's anybody to talk to about it, it's mom.
Yeah.
Because she's
did it for fucking forever.
She did it for forever, and now she teaches teachers.
Yeah.
So she's like the quintessential teacher.
Yeah.
And if anybody's going to have insight into like the issues with the education system, it's her.
Yeah.
And even our aunts are both in the education system.
Mm-hmm. Grandmother, she taught.
Yeah.
There's a lot of teachers in our family.
Yeah. But I'm really dumb. I didn't get any of that.
Yeah, I think it's funny that it was like our uncle, our mother, and one of our aunts was like salutatorian, valedictorian.
I think 3 of them, mom and one of our uncles and one of our aunts was valedictorian, and then the youngest aunt was salutatorian.
Yeah.
And I barely graduated.
I think we got that from Dad's side.
Possibly. Yeah. I don't know if there was any scholars on his end.
Yeah.
We learned real world stuff.
Yeah. Although our grandfather, for all of his faults, was very, very smart.
Yes. Very intelligent.
Very intelligent.
Yeah. I don't know. I think that I got the worst of both ends on the intellectual side of things. Like all the good stuff just missed me.
Yeah, I remember in high school, I think it was like we had the person who had valedictorian was like a 4.3 or something like that.
That's fucking insane.
And I was just like, I don't give a fuck about that.
I just don't care.
Yeah. I remember I missed honors graduating. I had a 3.4999999.
Just barely missed it.
Yeah, like barely missed it. As like, and then Mom gave me a mercy grade so I could graduate. So I was like, well, I'm not going to lick a gift horse in the mouth. It is what it is.
I remember I met with our counselor my senior year because they would meet with all the kids and kind of give you a standing on like, here's where your GPA is at. This is what you need to do in order to graduate. And I was told that I had a 3.0. And I was like, hey,
like, excellent.
I'm there. I can just fucking coast the rest of the way through. What I didn't understand was that was my weighted GPA.
No.
So that included things like PE and band. And with those things, I just barely made it.
Yeah.
So when it came time to get a grant or scholarship for college, you had to have a 3.0 to get, was it a Hope Scholarship?
I think so, yeah.
Yeah. I missed it by like a 1.5.
Yeah, you're like, uh-oh.
He's like, well, I might have should have tried a little harder. But even then, I didn't try at all in college. I was not in the right mindset for college at all.
Yeah, the first time I went through, I remember when I got to Auburn, and like we were going through like orientation and everything, and they're like, at the time I was going to do secondary education because I wanted to be a football coach.
Yeah.
And I was like, well, fuck, how long is this going to take? And the not the instructor, but the person who was like running the program was like, it's about a 5-year track. I was like, fuck, 5 years?
Yeah.
I was like, dude, I just got done with 12.
Yeah.
And then so like, I remember like getting on the phone with Mom. I was like, they told me it's going to take 5 years.
Yeah.
I was like, I don't have 5 years.
Yeah.
And then so... And then,
I can give you like one good year.
Yeah, and then so like I went the first year at Auburn, and then like I didn't get upped my my scholarship from the track team.
Yeah.
And so because there's only like 11 scholarships for the whole men's track team, so I was like, I just didn't get any extra money. So I was like, well, I can't afford to take out another loan that large because I'm out of state. So that's when I transferred to Kennesaw State, and that first semester there was bad. I had like a D, a C, and 2 Fs.
Nice.
And then so like after that second semester, I had like a 3.0 for that semester. I had like 2 A's and 2 B's. And I was like, man, I fucking killed it. Yeah. But I had like theater appreciation.
Yeah.
and like a health class.
Yeah.
And then like,
where's the penis located?
Yeah.
Right here, baby. You pass.
And then so like I did that, and then like I went in to talk to the coaches, and they were like, yeah, you didn't take any of the classes we told you that you needed to take in order for you to be eligible for next year.
Yeah.
Because I was also the year I got hit in the back with a shot put ball, so I got redshirted. And so they were like, you're gonna have to take summer classes. And I was like, well, I don't have enough time to ask for a loan.
Yeah.
I was like, and I don't have money to pay for any classes.
Yeah.
So they were like, well, go think about it and let us know what it is that you want to do.
Think about it. I just told you what's happening.
And then, so like, I just never went back up there. I don't know. They never called me.
Yeah.
They were never like, hey man, you coming back?
Yeah.
Like, I just never showed back up.
Yep. That's what I did. I remember the exact moment I decided I was done with college. We had a computer science class, and it was, you'd go into the computer lab and you do your coding and everything, and we did cool stuff like make a robot draw a circle and things like that.
Yeah.
And I always felt like through the entire semester that I was missing something.
You're like, what?
I was like, how does everybody else just kind of know this stuff, and I got to learn it here?
Yeah.
And then we got to our final. And my computer lab partner throughout the semester, I walked in for the final or whatever, our final exam in the computer lab and everything, and she goes, man, that final was hard. I was like, what are you talking about? We haven't started it yet. She goes, no, the one in lecture. I was like, what are you talking about? She was like, the other half of this class, the lecture class. And I was like, oh, yeah. I didn't know there was a lecture class. I thought it was only this part. There's a whole other half of that class that I didn't attend not once through the entire semester. And so I just got up and I went home. And I said, I'm done with that. I'm done. I can't do this.
I remember my first semester at Auburn, it was one of those like introduction to like education classes or whatever.
Yeah.
So it was just like, show up. Like the only thing that you had to do was just show up, and they were going to give you a pass or a fail grade, right? And so they were like, you were only allowed to miss one class. They're like, the second class you miss, like you're done.
Yeah.
You have failed the class. And so it was like the third week, and I missed a class. I was like, fuck.
Yeah.
I was like, so I have to show up on time. Well, about 3 weeks later, I missed the other one. And so I just never went back.
Was it like an 8 a.m. class?
Yeah, it was like 7:30.
Yeah. You lied to yourself and said you could get up and do that.
Yeah,
I did the same thing.
And then so like I just never went back to the class.
Yeah.
I was like, well, I fucking felt there's no reason to go back in. It's like no matter what I do,
I've already failed
the class. And then so at the end of the semester, I got an email from the teacher. She's like, where have you been?
Yeah.
And I was like, well, I missed 2 classes, and you said that if I missed 2 classes, I failed the class. I was like,
So I just stopped coming.
I just stopped coming to the class. And she was like, if you would have just came to the class and talked to me about it, she was like, then I would have, like, we would have worked something out.
That's not what you said.
Yeah. And then so, and I was like, I'm so sorry. I was like, I was like, I guess it is what it is.
Yeah. I just took you for your word.
Yeah.
My bad.
And then she's like, I'll make you a deal. She said, if you write, like, it was like a 10-page paper. She's like, if you write a 10-page paper as to why you should have attended this class, she's like, I will pass you. And then so I was like, okay. And so like the next 2 weeks, I just wrote a paper about how shitty I am as a person. And then I passed the class.
Citing sources.
Yeah, I just like passed the class.
Like you do a quote like, you suck, Wesley. Mom, 1998. Oh, man.
But yeah, I do remember that first semester at Kennesaw State. That was a bad one. I remember that because my chemistry teacher was Filipino. Yeah. And he would go from English to whatever their native tongue is, like in the middle of the sentence, and then talk that way for the rest of the lecture. And I was just like, what?
Like, I can't understand.
Yeah, and I was like looking around like at everybody. I was like, is anybody else? Like, am I the only person that has noticed this? Yeah. And everybody else is just like sitting there like on their phones or whatever. Like oh yeah.
That's how it is.
How this class is.
This is what we paid for.
And like I was like, what the fuck?
They I had to attend, I think it was going into my 3rd semester, I was on what they call academic delinquency or something like that. Yeah. And they made me attend like this seminar with like all these other kids. And like everybody in there looks like just a bunch of like pregnant teenagers and like gangbangers. And I'm like, I have messed up. And they're like, there's like 7 different members of the faculty in there like telling us like, you know, this is why you guys need to pay attention. Like, this is how much money you'd make with a degree. This is how much you'd make without a degree. You know, take a look at your left and to your right. One of those people is going to fail. And I was like, that me. I'm the failure right here.
Like, yep, that's why I'm here.
That's why I'm here, yeah.
That's why I'm here.
You're just telling me stuff
I've already done
know.
these things that you're talking about, so I don't really know. Like, what, you didn't come in here and yell at me?
College just ended up being the most expensive gym membership I ever had. Still paying for it.
Yeah, I really feel like I didn't take college seriously until the second time I went. Yeah. And the only reason I think one of the only reasons I took it seriously the second time I went was because I went into the military and I was like, never again. Yeah. Never again will I do this. Yeah. As like I failed out of college and then I had to go do this. Yeah. As like, so,
Learning the hard way. Yeah. Well, I think that's about all the time we got for today. So yes, thanks everybody for listening today. Hope that you enjoyed. If you guys have any questions, comments, or concerns, anything you'd like us to address. Also, if we ever say anything on this podcast and we're wrong,
yeah, let us know.
Feel free to correct us. One of our listeners, Steven, shout out to Steven, sent me some corrections about the Ford versus Ferrari thing.
Oh, okay.
So
what did we get wrong on that one?
I don't remember. I'll have to pull up that message. So on the next podcast, we'll start a new segment called Sorry. Yeah. And we'll just read out the corrections that were made. So yeah, feel free to contact us on the Facebook page or send us an email at thickboypodcast@gmail.com. Also, don't forget to follow us on Twitter. We're there as well. So, yeah, thanks for listening, everybody. We really do appreciate it. Do you have anything you'd like to close with?
Nope, same old. If you're listening to us on your favorite podcast platform, don't forget to leave a rating, a like, and a review. It really helps us with the whole algorithm there.
Yeah, appease the gods.
Yeah, appease the algorithm gods so that we can get out to more people.
And share the podcast.
Yep. Thank you so much for continued support. We appreciate it.
All that good stuff.
Yep.
All right, everybody. Thank you and goodbye.
Bye, everyone.